Week 3 is here, and the big news that just came through is that both Christian Watson and Aaron Jones are officially out today. So, might see another Jalen Reed week. Maybe Romeo Dubs comes back if we saw him flash in week 1. Maybe A.J. Dillon can finally be the guy that we wanted him to be when he was drafted. But we have a lot to break down on today's show. First of all, let's go through the early inactives. Odell Beckham Jr., Justice Hill, Anthony Richardson, Jamal Williams, Zay Jones, Jalen Waddle, Austin Eckler, Christian Watson, and Aaron Jones. We've got a lot of big names that are going to be missing the early slate of games. Later this afternoon, Bryce Young, Richie James, both out as well. And then tomorrow night, nothing huge, but Boston Scott and Quez Watkins are going to be out. So in your 18-team dynasty leagues, be sure to pull them out of your lineups. Before we get through the rest of these guys, the unlikelies and the likelies, we're joined with Alfredo Brown and Adam Hutchison every Sunday morning to go through these injury reports. So start us off, Adam. Is there anybody specific that we should be keeping a close eye on today? It seems like all the official injury reports came out, but anybody later this afternoon or tomorrow that we should be worried about?
I mean, I think the big one's Joe Burrow. Obviously, is we're officially on Joe Burrow watch with the calf injury. We've talked a lot about this internally at Footballguys, a lot publicly as well on Twitter/X. I think it really comes down to like a sports medicine versus real football life debate where he probably should sit and get that calf healthy, but as many know, the Bengals are 0-2. Can't really afford to drop another game. The offense does not look good, even with Joe Burrow in there and all the passing options that they have. So it'll be really interesting to see. That's a tough one because it's a Monday night game. I'm leaning towards him playing, but there's a lot of people that have pessimism, and I understand that.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, with the way he's been playing, you can't feel too confident, even if he is active. Now, we just got word as well David Montgomery and Selvin Ahmed are both officially out as well. So, Alfredo, let me throw this to you. We have been hoping for Jahmyr Gibbs week. Are we getting a Jahmyr Gibbs week, or is it going to be Bam Knight? Is it going to be Craig Reynolds? Are we going to be looking at some shenanigans here in Detroit like we so often do?
I'm really hoping that it is a Jahmyr Gibbs week. I've got him as a top 10 running back this week going up against Atlanta. I mean, all the reports coming out is that, yes, we're going to continue to feed Jahmyr Gibbs a bit more. I just don't think that if you're the Jahmyr Gibbs manager, I don't think there's a situation right now where you're sitting him or benching him in favor of really anyone else, unless you just have a very top-heavy running back situation on your roster. So I think we should see a bit more of Jahmyr Gibbs this week, especially, man, if it's just him. And then I think Craig Reynolds does get some run here. I really do. He might be one of those surprising low-end flex plays.
Yeah, so let me throw a few hype checks out your way, Alfredo. Let me know if I'm off base. Be my guardrail here. Jahmyr Gibbs is my RB7. The only guys I'm starting ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs: Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Travis Etienne, Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard. Am I crazy?
Can you repeat that again? Did you say Kenneth Walker is a top 6 running back for you? Are you okay? Are you
for
sick?
Me this week. RB6. I mean, can't ignore the workload he's been getting. Yeah.
Blink twice if you're being held against your will. So I got Jahmyr Gibbs as running back 9 on the week. I do have a couple of guys like Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon that I think will get a little bit more volume there, and that's typically where I tend to lean when I'm not sure about these running backs. Just
those
volume.
Are the 2 guys I have directly behind him, so same tier.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's a get right week for Josh Jacobs, but Jahmyr Gibbs top 10 play. Shouldn't be worried about him.
Raheem Mostert, RB12. Am I crazy there?
No, I've got him at RB10. I think this is a great matchup for him going up against the Denver Broncos. There's, like you said, no Savon Ahmed, still no Jeff Wilson. Devon Achane may get a bit more run, but he's more of a stash than a start this week. He's a guy that got 2 touches last week. Raheem Mostert has been showing that he can play, and I know we labeled him as a sell high, but this is another good week for him. No Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins are going to need to use their playmakers as best as they can. And we've seen this offense funnels down into a tight, window of 1 to 2 guys sometimes. And with Jalen Waddle out, that second guy becomes Raheem Mostert.
So that sets me up perfectly for the final question I have for you. My last guardrail here to make sure I'm not crazy.
Oh boy.
Devon Achane is my RB35 and Craig Reynolds is RB36. So pretty far down the rankings, but those kind of fall into that, as Sigmund Bloom likes to say, what the heck flex? These are RB3s, flex options. Craig Reynolds, Devon Achane, if you're desperate, are those guys you'd feel comfortable plugging in your lineups today?
Comfortable is a very relative term. I'm so as much as I like the potential for Devon Achane, I don't know that I'm starting him. You have to be really, really desperate, like really desperate. I've got Devon Achane as my running back 44 on the week, and I'm looking right now. Craig Reynolds at about running back 39 on the week, just behind a couple of guys like Samaje Perine, Kenneth Gainwell, Chuba Hubbard. I think Reynolds does get some run here, but I think for him, you're hoping that he ends up in the end zone.
And then just going through some other injuries here. Adam, you could help us out here. DeAndre Hopkins is active with an ankle injury. Now, we saw him active last week, but he was on the field, but didn't really look all that great. Definitely not looking like himself right now. Are we expecting him to look like the DeAndre Hopkins of old today, or is this just the old version of DeAndre Hopkins now that we have?
I mean, there's a lot of debate to what type of ankle injury DeAndre Hopkins is dealing with. Like video suggested there's a possible high ankle sprain mechanism, which would expect a lot of the dip in the production. This is not a great week against the Browns defense. They got two really good corners in Ward and Newsome, like the lock down the wide receivers. So I'm probably staying away from all the Titans passing game if I can.
And then Derrick Henry dealt with a toe injury earlier in the week, but he's off the injury report. So, we expect him to still be, a top 5 running back, but Tajay Spears just keeps seemingly carving out a bigger and bigger role. So Tajay Spears also gets kind of thrown in as a back end RB3 flex option for me today, especially in PPR leagues. Amari Cooper expected to play, dealing with that groin and shoulder, but he dealt with that the week before and suited up. So, Adam, real quickly, yes or no, are we expecting any limitations from Amari Cooper, or is he just going to be Amari Cooper?
I think he's going to be Amari Cooper. He looked good in that Monday night game. Did they play Monday or Sunday night? I can't remember. Last week
Monday
we were
night,
worried
yep.
about his groin injury, and he actually ended up playing. So another week of rest. I think it's wheels up for Amari Cooper.
Ooh, Cordarrelle Patterson was next on my list, and we were hoping that he'd be able to make his season debut today, but Cordarrelle Patterson is inactive, so hopefully we'll see him in week 4 as he has been battling a thigh bruise. Or a thigh injury. I don't know the extent of that one. Amon St. Brown, though, toe injury, plate in his shoe. Adam, last year we saw Najee Harris playing with a plate in his shoe, and it really limited his efficiency. Like, if you look at the splits with and without the plate in his shoe, it really slowed him down. So are we tempering expectations for Amon-Ra? We saw him kind of limited in snaps last week, and now they're saying that he's active, but he's got this plate in his shoe. I've got him kind of as a back-end wide receiver 1. I love Amon-Ra. He's my wide receiver 6 in pre-draft rankings, but I've got him a little bit lower in my rankings this week. Is that what I should be doing?
Yeah. I think backhand wide receiver 1. Like if you're playing DFS or daily fantasy football, he might not be someone that you want to pay that premium draft capital for. But if you're playing in a traditional redraft league, you drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown high. If he's active, you're playing him. It does, the turf toe, we do typically see a dip in wide receiver production. It's typically a 3 to 4 week injury because it's a very painful injury. So the fact that he's playing through this, I think you temper expectations a little bit, but it'd be really, really hard for me to take Amon-Ra St. Brown out of my starting lineup.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Like in DFS, you want to give him a knock, but if you got him in a managed league, unless somehow you have, 3 top 5 wide receivers, you're still playing Amon-Ra. Josh Reynolds active as well, and Josh Reynolds has looked fantastic through the first 2 weeks. So again, kind of in that what the heck flex. I think Alfredo and we talked about Josh Reynolds a lot this week, and we are both, okay starting him if you need to. Last guy we'll talk about in these early slates of games, Kendre Miller and Taysom Hill. Adam, Alfredo, all 3 of us are big Kendre Miller fans. We finally get to see him here. Jamal Williams on IR. Alvin Kamara still serving his suspension. He won't be back until next week. So today should be the Kendre Miller show, right? Is there any sort of limitation that you're expecting, Adam, or is it going to be wheels up, 90% snap share, 25 carries, 8 targets? What are we expecting today?
I mean, from a health perspective, yes. I mean, the difficult part is we just literally have not seen Kendre Miller at all this season. We saw some preseason highlights. We saw that really spectacular catch that got us excited about PPR leagues, but we have literally nothing to base our analysis off with Kendre Miller because we have not seen him used in real NFL action. In deeper leagues, yeah. I mean, I've definitely plugged Kendre Miller into some flex spots where I needed him.
And then the last 3 guys we'll talk about, I'll just bunch all these guys together because it seems like they all should be active. Kadarius Toney is the one that's a game time decision, but he's pretty far down our rankings. I don't think you're starting Kadarius Toney unless you are desperate, in which case, say a couple Hail Marys and hope for the best. DK Metcalf, though, was dealing with a rib injury, but Bob Condata said that Pete Carroll expected him to play. So, Adam, rib injuries, that's just kind of a muscle through it and deal with the pain, right? We're not expecting any limitations from DK Metcalf, are we?
Yeah, no, the fact that he's playing and he left briefly last week, but he came back in to actually finish the games, suggests that there's not any rib fracture,
right?
Likely dealing with some type of bruise. So yeah, it's a pain tolerance thing. Should be good to go.
And then we got the word from Adam Schefter late last night that Isaiah Pacheco is expected to play through his hamstring injury. Typically, if we get that day before expected to play, that's a good sign. We shouldn't expect any limitations from Isaiah Pacheco. Alfredo and I have talked about how he's just not really the same player he was last year. Toe tapping a little bit in the backfield, not hitting the hole as hard as he should. So I've got him a little bit lower in my rankings, not for health concerns, just because he hasn't looked all that great. Sunday Night Football, clean bill of health. Nobody expected to miss this evening. We already talked about Joe Burrow tomorrow night. The last guy we will talk about, Adam Puka Nacua, everybody's darling right now. He dealt with an oblique injury last week. Some people got scared off, didn't put him in our lineup, and then he pulled 20 targets. So if this trend continues, are we just going to see him be this target hog tomorrow night, or are there going to be some limitations with the oblique injury?
I mean, if the trend continues, anytime we see Puka Nacua with an oblique injury, you should definitely be putting him in our lineups because that pretty much guarantees 30 PPR points. If that's where the correlation that we're going with there. No, I think it's there's varying degrees of those core oblique injuries. This is obviously something that's minor. Puka Nacua finished as a wide receiver 2 last week. You're playing Puka Nacua.
Absolutely. Well, that'll do it for the injury report. Covered all that. Thank you, everybody who is watching. Go ahead and drop a thumbs up. And now we are going to dive into the questions, get through as many of these as we possibly can. Alfredo, start us off here. Jerome Ford, Kendre Miller, Miles Sanders, Gus Edwards. I need one in full PPR. Out of these 4, who are you going with?
Oh man. Okay, so I don't feel great about it, but I am going to lean towards Miles Sanders here. I think that with the backup quarterback in Andy Dalton, we know that he maybe doesn't target the running back as much as other quarterbacks, but he did that quite a bit last year still. And I think that in this game, it might be a bit more competitive than we think. I think the Panthers might be more competitive than they have been with Bryce Young, and they might lean on Miles Sanders a bit more here with Andy Dalton under center.
Yeah, I've got Miles Sanders ahead of the bunch. Gus Edwards just 2 spots behind him. Kendre Miller 4 spots behind him. And Jerome Ford 1 spot behind him. So these guys are all bunched really close together, but I give the slight edge to Miles Sanders as well. Adam Thielen or Romeo Doubs. And, Romeo Doubs, we got to talk about it. Week 1 looked great on limited snaps, kind of went to the wayside for Jalen Reed last week, but now with Christian Watson out, Romeo Doubs does kind of come into play as a wide receiver 3 or a flex option. So, Alfredo, between these two, Thielen and Doubs, who do you prefer? We also have to give a bump to Adam Thielen with no Bryce Young. We've seen Andy Dalton, look like a pretty good quarterback last year in New Orleans, was supporting Chris Olave, was supporting Michael Thomas when he was out there. So, who do you prefer out of these two?
I really hate to say this. I prefer Adam Thielen today. And it's really funny. I have him ranked wide receiver 44, Romeo Doubs, wide receiver 45.
That's exactly what I have, Alfredo.
Yeah,
Literally to the T, 44 and 45 in my rankings.
I mean, Seattle has so many injuries in that secondary, and veterans love targeting veterans. It's just going to be one of those simple things. I'm sure they've had plenty of reps in practice. Andy Dalton's going to go to what is simplest for him out there. So, I'm saying these Carolina Panthers are sneaky starts this week if you're, desperate.
Yeah, agree there. Now, Adam, any concerns? Adam Thielen was dealing with an injury for the majority of preseason, but he looked as good as you'd expect a 33-year-old receiver to look last week. So any concerns about an injury here, or should he be a full go?
No, I mean, he has a history of ankle issues dating back to 2 years. He was dealing with a high ankle sprain that he re-aggravated. You haven't really seen it this year. He is an older wide receiver, and I know that makes people nervous, but until we have another injury or see something different, I think you're okay playing Adam Thielen.
Cool. I need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman, James Conner, Michael Thomas, Jacoby Myers, Kareem Hunt. Who should I go with? I think Puka is the obvious here. Let's talk about that real quickly. Alfredo, am I totally crazy for having Puka Nacua as a top 7 wide receiver this week?
Top 7's not. I mean, it's not that crazy. I've got Puka as wide receiver 10 right now. But dude, like what are we arguing here? This is a wide receiver who is making NFL history. So
I mean,
sure,
with
I don't
Amon-Ra
think
St.
anyone would
Brown,
really argue it was like wide receiver 4 this week. Like no one, you can't argue it.
yeah, with Amon-Ra St. Brown with the plate in his foot and with Jamar Chase dealing with Joe Burrow's woes, it's crazy that here we are going into week 3 and we have a 5th-round rookie ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Chase, but that's how I've got it in my rankings. So Puka
Yeah.
Nacua was the obvious one here. So out of Pittman, Connor, Michael Thomas, Jacoby Myers, and Kareem Hunt, who is the flex guy you're going with? Adam, Adam, I want to hear your opinion on this one as well.
So interesting enough, and I don't know why, but I have a pretty big data set showing wide receivers coming off of concussions and their first game back to see anywhere between a 30 to 35% decline in fantasy football production. I don't really know why. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but in terms of the sample size, it's pretty substantial. I've got 66 wide receivers from 2017 to 2022. So I'd probably be fading Jacoby Myers as good as he looked in week 1. For whatever reason, the data shows us that those wide receivers struggle first game after their concussion. So I'm probably removing him from my list. I would be considering Michael Pittman or James Conner or even Michael Thomas, who's looked really good.
Yeah, I've got Michael Thomas out of this bunch ahead of the rest. He was my start of the week. I think he is poised for a very, very big week. This Green Bay offense has been great at limiting big plays, but they have been picked apart across the middle of the field by Desmond Ridder. If Desmond Ridder can pick them apart across the middle of the field, I think Derek Carr can just fine. So I'm going with Michael Thomas here, but would be totally okay starting James Conner as well as a safer pick. Alfredo, I think it comes down to you now because we're all giving different opinions here. Who do you like?
It's not going to be helpful. I'm going Michael Pittman here. He had a 38% target share once Gardner Minshew came in, 9 targets in what basically was not a complete game with Gardner Minshew there. Now going up against Baltimore, who has injuries all over their secondary, this could be one of those games where if Baltimore is scoring easily, which they probably will, Gardner Minshew is going to be dropping back to pass quite a bit. So the pace of this game may be a little bit upbeat, and Michael Pittman could be looking at a lot of targets against the bad Baltimore secondary. I lean Pittman there as the flex.
Sorry, Mr. Green. Wish we could help you out there. Next question comes from Micah Jensen. I am benching Dameon Pierce as my RB2 in a full PPR league, which, hey, no qualms with that. I mean, he has not been the guy that we were hoping in the preseason. So as an RB2, would you go with Gus Edwards, Kendre Miller, or Khalil Herbert? I have the slight edge to Gus Edwards, but these guys are all really clustered closely together. But with no Justice Hill, right now the backfield competition in Baltimore is Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon. I think Gus Edwards has a pretty fun day for himself. I see both of you nodding in agreement. Are we all on the same page here?
All aboard the Gus bus.
You know what? I'm going to say, Micah, that is a strong headshot that we got pulled up there.
Let's
just push the chips in. Let's go Kendre Miller this week. Let's have a little fun. He looks like he likes to take a risk. I'm going with Kendre Miller.
Something about his face just says risk taker.
It's really close for me, I will say. I mean, I'm looking at my rankings right now. I lost it, but Kendre Miller, yeah, I mean, I've got Gus about 3 spots ahead, so they are very, very tight in my rankings. If you want the upside, Kendre Miller's got the upside for sure. Mel Johnson is asking us, good morning, pick one for each position in half PPR, running back, Tyler Algier or Breece Hall, wide receiver, Tank Dell or Jackson Smith-Njigba. For me, it's pretty easy, Hall and JSN.
I'll lean Hall with you there over Algier, but I'm gonna go Tank Dell over Jackson Smith-Njigba. Rewatched that Houston Texans game, and Tank Dell is getting a lot of first read targets. They're using him to get out in open space. That relationship with CJ Stroud is looking really good. And it's a guy that he's getting comfortable with. There was a play where while CJ Stroud is on the run, Tank Dell is adjusting to him and making him more comfortable, and that's where he's getting some of those targets. And then it came back again later in the game for a touchdown that I believe ended up being called back. But Tank Dell, he's going to be a problem soon, and I think you can start him this week.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I mean, this team is going to be playing from behind often. I don't think there's any shock or surprise in saying that. So garbage time is going to be aplenty there. Breece Hall. Let's talk about this real quickly. Can we lean into the squeaky wheel narrative? Is that something you guys believe? I don't know if you saw after the game, Breece Hall tweeted about his frustrations with his lack of involvement. Dalvin Cook has looked like not Dalvin Cook this year. I mean, he does not look like himself. So do we maybe see Breece Hall get a bigger workload, or Adam, are we still tempering expectations coming off the ACL? Probably have to wait until mid to late season to see him at a full go.
I hate to be the wet blanket, but I'm still tempering expectations for Breece Hall. I would want to see it. I talked about it on both shows that we've already done this year, Running backs coming off an ACL tear see a significant dip in efficiency. The ones that do well in fantasy purposes have a healthy workload. Brees Hall has not had a healthy workload. The Jets have said constantly that they're going to continue to manage his touches early in the season here. So he's somebody that I've really been fading early this season.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I mean, Brees Hall does have a much tougher matchup going up against New England than Tyler Algier, who gets to run against that Swiss cheese Detroit defense. So you can go either way here. I prefer Brees Hall ever so slightly, but that is a tough one. Morning, fellas. Couple easy ones for you. Half PPR. I need one wide receiver and one running back. Garrett Wilson or Michael Thomas at wide receiver, Roshan, Gainwell, or Craig Reynolds at running back. I think we're all going to be in agreement here, but Alfredo, start us off. Who do you like at wide receiver?
I'm going to go Michael Thomas here at wide receiver, especially with the news that Jair Alexander is out, that
Yep.
Green Bay secondary could be in trouble here today with Olave and Michael Thomas. And then let's see, the other one was the running back, Roshan, Gainwell, or Craig Reynolds. Let's hear from Adam on the wide receiver while I look at my running back rankings here.
Yeah, I like what I've seen from Michael Thomas this year, and he was somebody that I was a little bit worried about going in just because we haven't seen Michael Thomas for really 2 or 3 years here. But he's looked good, and he's looked like Derek Carr's kind of safety net here. I'm liking some Michael Thomas early.
Yeah, I mean, 17 targets in his first 2 weeks. Can't get upset about that. So I'm going Michael Thomas as well. At running back, I've got Roshan. And, don't want to try to predict game script too much, but what is it, 13.5-point favorites, I believe the Chiefs are. So when that game gets out of hand, this could be similar to week 1 where we see Roshan come in the second half and just rack up a ton of targets. So especially in half PPR, I prefer Roshan out of the bunch, but would it surprise anybody if Kenneth Gainwell just comes in and takes 80% of the snap share and just pushes DeAndre? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Why are you putting that into the world, David?
Dude, the Eagles backfield, we finally talked about it. Like, we were so excited. Like, wheels up for DeAndre Swift, and then Kenneth Gainwell returns Monday night. I'm scared off by every running back in that backfield right now. So I'm going to go with Roshan.
I dislike you very much.
I think I'm pretty far above consensus on Kenneth Gainwell just because the shenanigans in that backfield are going to be tough to predict. Good morning, guys. PPR in the flex. Do I start DeAndre Swift, Jerome Ford, or Michael Thomas? Alfredo, who do you prefer here?
As of right now, I still have. Oh, hey, bye, Adam. I still have.
We'll pull him back up when he's back.
Yeah, he's coming.
Crying baby. Who knows? There he is. What's up, Adam?
He's back. I've still got DeAndre Swift ahead. I know that we're worried about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still got him ahead just because it's so hard to look at the type of production he put up last week and say you're going to bench that. You always have to have that in mind. So I still have him ahead by a little bit. Man.
Tampa Bay, man, that's a tough defense too.
I know it is. But I think
I am way ahead of consensus on Thomas. So don't, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but I'm going MT over Swift here.
With it being PPR, I can probably be swayed to that, but I think I want to lean towards, yeah, this is a really tough one because now you got me tilting here live on air. I'm still going to stick with Swift. I think there's going to be more scoring opportunities for him, even in that first game with all the production he had, limited touchdown opportunity with Jalen Hurts. So I think that might turn around this week.
We're going to get a lot of DeAndre Swift questions today, and here's another one: DeAndre Swift or DJ Moore. DJ Moore, everybody's like acting like he's dead. He still went for over 100 yards last year, and KC's secondary is
last
week.
Last week. I was like, that's not an impressive season.
Over 100 yards last week. So I'm going DJ Moore here in PPR ahead of Swift. But again, I want to just put the disclaimer out there that I am below DeAndre Swift this week. So I totally take my advice with a grain of salt.
I think I would lean DJ Moore here, just because of the game script of that Bears Chiefs game. And I think that Justin Fields is on the hot seat right now, whether he wants to agree or not, or blame coaches or not, it doesn't really matter. And he's just going to have to lean into these best weapons. So I know it's a little narrative-y, but it's a game against the Chiefs. There should be a lot of passing. There should be a lot of attempts to score while they're behind. DJ Moore for me.
And I think we see a lot more of Justin Fields rushing his whole, I can't keep staying in the offense. I got to play free. I think we see Justin Fields kind of run free today. Assuming Christian Watson plays, which he is not, are you starting him or Jalen Reed or Elijah Moore? So this question comes down to Jaden Reed or Elijah Moore. I'm going Reed pretty comfortably here. He looked great last week.
Yeah, I've got Jaden Reed just barely ahead of Elijah Moore. I've got Reed at wide receiver 42 and Moore at wide receiver 43. So I think I'd lean there with the upside of a guy who obviously already came down with 2 touchdowns last week, and with Watson out, has the potential to be the wide receiver 1 for this team going up against a secondary that has one really good corner, but everyone else has been kind of hit or miss.
I'll pull this one up, and I'm going to have to look at my rankings while you guys answer, because I know for sure I'm going Zach Moss out of the bunch. But then between Chris Godwin, George Pickens, and Jerome Ford, we need to pick one more. I think we're all going Zach Moss here, right, as one of the two.
Since it's half point PPR, yes, I would go Zach Moss. I think the next guy, and I'm trying to look right here in my rankings where I've got them. Okay, let's see. I do have Moss highest. And then I have George Pickens next on that. I think that we've already gotten the reports that they want to make George Pickens even more involved. We saw him start to get the targets last week. Las Vegas has a really bad secondary. It's just find the receivers that are going to get volume going up against bad matchups or bad secondaries, excuse me. So good matchups. I'm going to lean Pickens there.
Yeah, I've got Pickens as well. I hate to be a wet blanket, and I know we do it a lot on this show, just really dousing the flames with just negativity, but I'm scared of Jerome Ford this week. I know everybody splashed a ton of fab on him. I love Jerome Ford as a talent, but that Tennessee matchup, they have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. And what it's been like dating back to like 2021. They are just so stiff against running backs. So I love Jerome Ford as a season-long play. I think he's the better running back than Kareem Hunt. I think his time is going to come. He's going to get a ton of touches, but I'm not really all that comfortable starting him this week. I've got him way down at wide receiver 32 in my rank, or running back 32 in my rankings.
Yeah, I've got Jerome Ford at running back 25. And I think that it's just cautious optimism that you have to have. So much of the value and the allure of starting him is just simply the volume, right? Like we all just assume he's going to get volume. This kind of volume against the Tennessee defense may not mean much. What you're kind of hoping for is that he's going to get the passing work. He's able to break one, something like that. So I think the only reason you are starting him is because you needed help at running back and you went out and grabbed him because you were so desperate. You're not sitting there starting him over guys like Miles Sanders, Brian Robinson, Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook. Like he's not going in over them. He's going in because you are desperate at running back, and that's your best option because of the volume play.
And that's exactly why everybody started Joshua Kelly against Tennessee last week and got, what was it, 4, 5, 6 points, something like that. I mean, it could be tough.
Shut up, Dave. We don't look at the past.
Cleveland Sanders is asking us full point PPR, 6 points per touchdown needed at QB. CJ Stroud, Desmond Ridder, Baker Mayfield, or Derek Carr. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go watch Thursday's show now, less than an hour before kickoff, but we were all aboard the Derek Carr train. I think Jordan McNamara laid a pretty solid case for him. So I'm going Carr out of the bunch. But CJ Stroud, man, he's looked pretty good. I wouldn't blame anyone for taking Stroud either.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud, the Texans have been passing the ball way more than we expected. I think everyone thought this was going to be a run-first team. CJ Stroud has not only been passing the ball a lot, but he's looked good doing it. So you're right. I wouldn't blame anyone for going that direction. The guy here I think I would not start under any circumstances is Desmond Ridder. I do have Baker Mayfield ranked a bit higher this week than I normally do, so I think he's a fine start. But the news of not having Jair Alexander in that Green Bay Packers secondary, I think changes things. And I think Derek Carr does move up a bit. And if we like Michael Thomas and we like Chris Olave and we like the fact that secondary is banged up in Green Bay, I think you could start Derek Carr here this week.
Yeah, just wait, Alfredo. I'm going to keep rubbing off on you. By the end of the season, you are going to be a full-blown Baker Mayfield fan. You can't help it. It's just going to happen.
Probably not.
By osmosis, eventually, you are going to love yourself some Baker Mayfield. Mason Massey is asking us, Gibbs or James Cook? Love both of these starts this week. I mean, my recommendation is to throw one of these players up on the trade block and address another position in need, because these are both top 12 running backs for me this week. I prefer Gibbs, but can't go wrong with either of these guys.
I think the tough part is that it's non-PPR, and you almost have to wonder who's going to get more volume, who is going to have an explosive play, or who is going to fall into the end zone. For the Bills, I don't think James Cook has an opportunity to fall into the end zone.
Yep.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs does have that opportunity with David Montgomery out, and I think he's going to be set up for a lot more explosive plays with some more volume. So I lean Gibbs.
Yeah, but let's be honest, we're going to end up seeing Zonovan Knight come in at the goal line and just shatter all of our Jahmyr Gibbs dreams. Eckler out, sit 2. Joshua Kelly, Brian Robinson. Do not bench Brian Robinson. Do not bench Calvin Ridley. Chris Olave versus Jair Alexander. There's no Jair Alexander. Turf to Omonora. Ooh, maybe you are benching these guys. Mike Williams. I mean, I'm benching Joshua Kelly and Mike Williams out of the bunch, but that's
I think tough. Knowing the scoring format would help here a bit more. Ridley is an auto play against Houston. No Derek Stingley there. Olave auto play there. So we got 2 out of these guys. We need to bench 2. I think. I hate the idea of benching these Chargers players because that Chargers Vikings game should be a high scoring one. But I wonder if that's where I lean. Adam, maybe you can give us a little more context here with the Amon-Ra turf toe. I know you said he's a low end wide receiver 1, but put in this context where you have him going up against some of these other guys. Are you still starting him?
Yeah, none of these guys make me want to bench Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's close. There's some guys on here that get me excited, but there's no one in that tier. Even if Amon-Ra does have a small dip in production, I would still be playing him.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well, but that's a tough one. Congrats on making a loaded team.
Yeah.
Start Nico Collins or Jordan Addison. Alfredo, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Jordan Addison one of your starts of the week, or am I totally making that up?
He is one of my starts of the week.
But I still think I'm going Nico Collins. Nico Collins has been balling.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we do our starts of the week, right, we do it for guys that are kind of
We're
on
looking
the
at wide
fringe that
receiver threes, yeah.
Yeah, you're wondering, should I start them? Nico Collins is like an auto start at this point.
I was going to say, dare we say must start Nico Collins? Is that where he is?
I've got him as wide receiver 25 right now, and I think that this could be one of those situations. You were in lockstep. We got it,
dude. We are locked in on so many rankings. Last week we could not find common ground, and this week you and I, we're doing it, man.
This is one of those games where the Texans might be behind early, and they're just going to continue to throw. If I'm not mistaken, Texans are top 3 or top 4 in the league in pass attempts right now, and I expect that to continue here against Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, agree. Adam, are you saying that as well? I mean, Nico Collins has looked great. This blows my mind. You know, PFF receiving grade, I always joke around that I only talk about it when it confirms my priors, and it does with Nico Collins. He is 4th overall right now in receiver grade. I mean, just looking fantastic. Finally putting together that year 3 breakout we were hoping for.
Yeah, no, you got to play Nico Collins.
Now, this is an emergency start here with Sam Lane. Gardner Minshew or Andy Dalton? Dun, dun, dun.
Adam, I'll let you go first. I know who I'm picking.
I'm looking right now. They are my wide receiver 29 and 30.
Well, that's impressive really because they play quarterback.
I'd probably go with Gardner Minshew.
Ooh,
I think he's got some better receiving options. I know I was looking at who they're at Baltimore as opposed to playing at home versus Baltimore.
That's right.
Seattle. Carolina's at Seattle, so they're both on the road, both getting these spot starts.
I'll still stick with Minshew.
I'm gonna lean, and we lost you there, Adam. On your ear. There you go. You're back.
There he
You're
is.
So handsome. I'm gonna lean Minshew here, going up against the Baltimore Ravens. I already talked about how that Ravens secondary is really dinged up. This is gonna be one of those games where the Colts are gonna have to pass a bit more. Andy Dalton on the road. I know he's a vet, but that offensive line in Carolina is not good. Bryce Young has been running for his life, and I know he's a little guy, but he's a bit more athletic than Andy Dalton, and I'm kind of worried of what's going to happen to Andy Dalton over there in Seattle. So I lean Gardner Minshew. I think that there's a better opportunity for a boom game there against the Ravens.
Like I said, these guys are so far down in my rankings.
Yeah, it's quarterback
strong take.
25.
So I will. Yeah, appreciate you guys taking the lead on that one because I didn't have a strong take. Michael Pittman or T. Higgins because Burrow is not producing like himself. He might not be, but T. Higgins, we have seen the ceiling and the floor. 0 receptions on 8 targets or 2 touchdowns and 28 points. With a ceiling like that, you got to go T. Higgins, right?
Yeah, I think this is one of those where you have to default to the guy who is, I hate to use this phrase, but it kind of has to work, is start your studs. I think that if we get the news that Joe Burrow is not playing, I think that maybe closes the gap here a little bit with T. Higgins and Pittman, but I think no matter what, I'm going to lean Higgins here. I think it's just a better player, the better offense, even if Burrow is out.
Yeah. Alfredo, can you read this one for us real quickly?
Please hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, please hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button right now, please.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question comes here from Bradley. Full PPR, flex, pick 1, Kenneth Gainwell, Kendrick Bourne, Cortland Sutton, or Tyler Higbee. We're getting deep in the trenches. Deep in the trenches. Let me scroll down and see who I prefer out of this bunch. Adam, who are you going with out of this bunch? If you got a strong take on any of them.
I think I would go with Kenny Gainwell. I mean, I know DeAndre Swift looked really good and Kenny Gainwell's absence, but we haven't seen the split when they both play Philadelphia crowned Kenny Gainwell the guy week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might go back to that just because of one injury. I don't think they completely go away from him. None of these other guys really have done much this season. So I'm going with Kenny Gainwell.
I'm scared off by a lot of the Patriots pass catchers. Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, a lot of these guys. The production has been there, but Mac Jones is leading the league in pass attempts. I expect that to come back down to earth. Right now, everybody's production is very inflated with, what is it? It's like 49 pass attempts per game or something like that. That is not sustainable. So I expect that to come back down to earth. I'm going Gainwell as well. Alfredo, do you have a strong take on this?
I'm actually going to go Cortland Sutton here. I think that game script is going to force the Broncos to pass a bit more on the road in Miami. We saw that even the Patriots were continuing that trend of passing a bit more, and that Miami secondary without Jalen Ramsey, not as good as I think we thought. Xavier Howard's getting a bit long in the tooth there. You've got Cortland Sutton going up against a bunch of guys that have been undrafted free agents, and yeah, they've played fine, but Miami has a weakness of getting beat over the top. And if there's, one of those splash plays that you need from one of these guys that are all kind of like back end players, I'll lean Cortland Sutton in this.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's a strong argument, and I think you can go with any of these guys. You're really just praying that any of them falls into the end zone. We got a question here from Ann, half point PPR. Nico, Lockett, or Mike Williams. I have Nico Collins, Michael Thomas, and Tyler Lockett all bunched together in a tier. So I like Nico and Lockett more than I like Mike Williams, but this is a tough one. You can really start any of these three.
Yeah, it's really tough. I've got Tyler Lockett looking right now at wide receiver 21, Nico Collins, wide receiver 25, Mike Williams. Oh, oddly enough, I have Mike Williams highest there. I was actually going to put him lowest, but yeah, I didn't think I had
going up
him
against
there.
Minnesota. What is the over?
Yeah,
it's like a 54 point,
54 and a half, I think. So
yeah,
I think I lean Mike Williams there, especially since half PPR. It's who's the guy that's most likely to get that touchdown there. Let's go with Mike Williams against Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't think we've really adapted yet. I think everyone was kind of low on Mike Williams because of Quentin Johnston, but Quentin Johnston has been an apparition so far. We have not seen him on the field, so we need to kind of move Mike Williams back up to where we were ranking him last year, not where we were ranking him in the preseason. Del Rey is asking us, Desmond Ridder or Kenny Pickett? I'm going Pickett here.
Pickett. I don't feel good about it, but sure, Pickett. They're talking about how Matt Canada's going to be working more closely with him. That could be a really bad thing. I don't know, but let's go Pickett.
I just lost my place in the comments. Does somebody else want to pull up the next question here?
Yeah, sure. I got you.
All right. Full point PPR, Michael Thomas or DeAndre Hopkins or Raheem Mostert or Joshua Kelly. I prefer Mostert out of this bunch. He's my RB12 this week. Yeah, even in full PPR, he gets some check down work as well. Totally lost my spot in the comments, but we'll just keep working our way through. Ooh, Adam Hutchison. Nice to see that guy in the chat. Hey,
just trying to get some cheap engagement here. Thanks, man.
I need help.
Oh man, you're getting desperate. I'm guessing this is a dynasty league, a deep dynasty league.
This is a very deep dynasty league. We play 3 flex, 3 wide receiver, super flex. I have been riddled with injury and I need help.
I think I'm going Juwan Johnson out of this bunch. I think we see Taysom Hill playing more of a running back role. We already talked about no Jair Alexander. Green Bay has been pretty susceptible to those plays across the middle of the field. So Craig Reynolds, very much so a touchdown or bust type of play this week. But Juwan Johnson could be the number 3 pass catcher in this game and what could end up getting a little bit out of hand. What do you think, Adam or Alfredo? I think the tight end premium is what skews it for me in Johnson's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say Juwan Johnson because of the tight end premium, but I think I'm still going to lean Craig Reynolds because I think that what the deciding factor here. Sorry, I think the deciding factor here is
we just got a live look at what all of our commenters look like when we are just. That's how everybody reacts when we are indecisive.
To me, it's about who's more likely to fall into the end zone here, and I think Reynolds will. I understand that it's the 1.5 tight end premium for PPR, but talking about a tight end that's got 5 receptions on the year. So if on average, he's getting you an extra 1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a huge advantage over Craig Reynolds falling into the end zone.
Yeah. Juwan Johnson was a guy we loved this preseason, but really haven't seen it so far.
Heartbreaking.
Hopefully we can. Sorry, Adam. No help there at all for you.
I'm going to cover my eyes and pick one. That's what I'm going to do.
There you go.
That's usually what I do. When in doubt, this is going to sound so lame, but if I am really tilting over that, I just go with the sleeper projection, and then that way, if it ends up not hitting, I could just yell at the sleeper app and say, "You made me do this," because there are some where it's a toss up like that. Danny Rose asking us here: full PPR. Mike Evans and Keenan Allen are in. Pick 2 to start between Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett, and Zay Flowers. We already kind of had this discussion. I prefer Tyler Lockett. Alfredo prefers Mike Williams. I don't have Zay Flowers ahead of either of these guys. Do you, Alfredo?
No, I don't. I do think that there are circumstances sometimes, especially since this is PPR. The other one last time we were talking about half PPR. And there are circumstances, right, where if I have 2 Chargers wide receivers and maybe I don't want to hedge my bets and split that offense, I will lean a bit more towards Tyler Lockett in that scenario. I know that's a bit more of like the game theory type stuff, despite having Williams ranked higher, but I would lean Lockett because he's not that far behind Williams there.
And honestly, these guys are all so close for me. I've got, from 21 to 25, it's Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, George Pickens, Zay Flowers. So, I mean, when they're that close in my rankings, just go with your gut or the sleeper projections.
Yep.
Joseph is asking us, rough final flex options post injuries. Pick 2 in half PPR. CEH, Tony Jones, Juju, Zeke, or Braxton Berrios. Did you just gag, Alfredo?
I did. It's gross. This is really bad. You know what? I don't hate Braxton Berrios this week with Jalen Waddle out.
One of them is going to go off. Good luck predicting which one. Durham Smythe, maybe?
We saw it last week. Tua was able to drive the field like 70 yards for a touchdown and only hitting Durham Smythe, River Craycraft, Braxton Berrios multiple times. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of River Craycraft and Braxton Berrios today. So I do like Berrios there, but we're picking 2 half PPR. I'm not starting Zeke.
I've got CEH pretty steamed up in my rankings this week.
I think so
I'm
too.
overestimating the Pacheco injury. I mean, I expect him to be a full go, but like I said, he just hasn't looked all that good. I think that we might actually see CEH somewhat involved this week. So I don't feel good about any of these guys, but CEH at running back 44 is one of my favorites of the bunch.
Yep.
Sorry about that one, Joseph. Good luck. Jordy Dawes is asking a 6-point touchdown, 1 point per 10 yards, so pretty standard scoring here. Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith, I'd assume, or Jared Goff. I'm going LJ here.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Lamar.
Yeah. Kendra Miller, Rashid Shaheed, or Romeo Dubs at flex. Oh. I really like Rashid Shaheed. I mean, he's looked good, but I'm going Kendra here.
Same. I'll go Kendra, but Rashid Shaheed is a close second.
Adam, bring it home. This is the Kendra show, right? We got to hope
Kendra Miller.
Hashtag wheels up.
All in.
Yeah, we're gonna feeling good. We're gonna feel good if Kendra Miller goes off today. We've been waiting for it, and just
or we're gonna
one
feel
thing after another. Yeah, we feel awful. Half PPR, boxers or briefs. That would caught me off. I saw it in my head, and I saw Braxton Berrios, so I pulled it up. I am very much so a briefs guy.
Paul wins.
I need that security of briefs. Start Ford or Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson ahead of Jerome Ford easily for me. Wow, that really caught me off guard.
That was awesome. Oh, man.
Calvin Austin, Trey McBride, Sean Tucker, or Kylan Granson. Start one in a deep dynasty league, full PPR Superflex.
Who the Bucks have? Who do they have this week? Talking about it's the Eagles, right? Yeah, Bucks Eagles. So yeah, I'm not starting Sean Tucker. Gotta start one of them. I think Calvin Austin. He got quite a bit of play last week, and yeah, if the Steelers are going to lean a bit more into that pass, I'll go Calvin Austin here. Not excited about it though.
I'm glad you answered it because I really didn't want to, Alfredo. Hey, fellas, Geno Smith or Jared Goff? I'm going to take a look at the rankings. Leo? I don't know how I have these guys. Yeah.
I have them back to back. I have Jared Goff as QB 11, and I have Geno Smith as QB 12.
Ooh, I'm a little bit lower on Geno Smith. I've got Goff pretty easily in this matchup.
That Carolina secondary just sucks. And with no JC Horn, yeah, I'm cool with either of these guys, but I do have Jared Goff just a spot ahead.
You know what? I'm actually going to do a live tweak on my rankings on the show. I'm dropping Deshaun Watson a little bit, which moves Geno up and tightens those guys a bit. I think Geno should be ahead of Deshaun Watson. Cortland Sutton, Sky Moore, Kenny Gainwell, or DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeesh. I think I'm going to lean towards the wide receivers here, so that removes Kenny Gainwell from the equation. I'm trying to see where I've got these guys. I do believe. Oh, come on, Alfredo. Just use Control Find, you idiot. One sec. I got you. So I have Cortland Sutton ranked the highest. Oh no, excuse me. I still have D Hop ranked
Yeah, I was gonna
highest out
say
of this group.
I'm
I've got
low on
Hopkins and
DeAndre
Sutton.
Hopkins, but I've still got him ahead of
Yep.
Cortland Sutton. I mean, the targets have been there, right? Like yeah, I don't feel good
I
about
understand that. So Cleveland is top 2 in the league against fantasy wide receivers, allowing the second fewest points, but it's still DeAndre Hopkins. Like he's a talented player. He's going to get some of those easy volume targets. I don't have him very high at wide receiver 36, but out of this group, we'll go Hopkins and Sutton for me.
Aaron Jones or Algier. Get Aaron Jones out of your lineup. I'm sure you
Yeah,
asked before
don't.
injury reports came out, but do not start Aaron Jones. He is
him
inactive
out.
today. CJ Stroud or Jordan Love. Jordan Love is currently
Always.
the QB2 in scoring, right?
Always choose Love.
Or is he QB1? I mean, always choose Love. Oh my god.
I think he's a top 3. Oh, shut up, Dave. I think
Always
he's a top
choose Love.
quarterback.
Put
Love
it
is
on a
always the
t-shirt.
answer, Dave. Love is always the answer.
Oh
Love is all you need.
gosh. All right. You got any other love puns before we get on to the next question? That was good. That was
Do you believe in life after love?
Okay. Was that a share?
Yes, it is, man.
Full point PPR, Amari Cooper or Zay Flowers. Got to go to the rankings because I don't know this one off the top of my head.
Amari. I got him at wide receiver 16 this week. Tennessee's secondary is god awful. I think they're giving up the most points to wide receivers.
Yeah.
And especially if that run defense is going to be really good, Deshaun's going to have to throw a bit.
I've got him tight in my rankings as well. Adam, real quickly, just want to throw it over to you to anybody who is concerned. We talked about it earlier in the show, but Amari Cooper, no concerns about today, right?
No concerns.
We got another one. Do I start like or subscribe? Both. And leave a comment while you're at it.
Yeah, I would say start them both.
We've got Zach from Buffalo, very smart man in the comments. I have no idea what this is in reference
Zach,
to, but
you're
Dave
wrong.
is right.
How about that?
Full PPR, Dallas Goedert or Sam Laporta. Goddard has been a very not really talked about, but maybe one of the biggest busts so far this year. Given his draft capital and the production we've seen, it has been abysmal.
Yeah, I do think, though, this could be a get-right game for him going up against Tampa Bay, where they are going to have to pass a bit more. I know Tampa's got a good safety there, Antoine Winfield Jr., but I think with the strong run defense of the Buccaneers, they're not going to be able to run like they did previous week. This is going to be a bit more of a pass-heavy game script, where I think both teams are going to be slinging the ball. So I have Dallas Goedert one spot ahead of Sam Laporta. I know it's not super helpful.
Tight end 7, and I've got Dallas Goedert at tight end 10. So I prefer Sam Laporta, but really anything outside of the top 5 tight ends are all just kind of a pray and hope.
The encouraging thing is that they're trying to get Goddard involved. You saw last week that he got like 4 or 5 really easy targets. The thing was, it was behind the line of scrimmage. That secondary was all over him. So they are trying to get him involved, and I appreciate that. And I think that that's where we could see some of those plays happen.
A.J. Dillon or Jalen Warren?
Yes.
I know A.J. Dillon definitely gets a bump up in the rankings with Aaron Jones being out, but we're hearing that Jalen Warren is going to be more involved. How much weight are we putting into that? I still have Jalen Warren ahead.
I mean, you're more involved in the Steelers' offense. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not much, right? And A.J. Dillon hasn't been impressive, but with running backs, I'm just always going to side with volume. And if this is going to be the starting running back for the Packers today, and they don't have Christian Watson, and they may still lean on that run and some easy receptions to A.J. Dillon, I'm going to lean A.J. Dillon here.
This is shocking. This is the first time we've seen a 2-2 question today. Tutu Atwell, Tank Dell, or Tyler Algier. Maybe I'm just eating the cheese here, but I've got Tutu Atwell pretty high up in my rankings.
Did you say eating the cheese?
Yeah, like a mouse eats the cheese and then gets snapped and killed in a mouse trap.
So you're saying that if they go with Tutu Atwell, they're going to die.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm going Tutu
The
here.
stakes are high. Yeah,
I've got him as wide receiver 35.
I thought we were going to be aligned on this one. I've got him at wide receiver 29, so I like Tutu a little bit more than you. But again, once you start getting into this wide receiver 3 range, it's all pretty flat in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin. Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin, or Jahan Dotson. I think I've got McLaurin out of the bunch, but let me take a look at my rankings.
So I do have McLaurin the highest here, wide receiver 28. I have Addison not too far behind, though, wide receiver 31. So I think it's a matter of just, you're sticking with the guy who is the wide receiver 1 for his team. It should be a high pass volume matchup going up against the Bills. They're going to find ways to get Terry McLaurin involved. They absolutely have to get these wide receivers going. Whereas Jordan Addison, I think he's getting there, but I'm not
Mhm.
going to put him in over McLaurin this week.
Right. And then Adam, on the show a lot for the first couple of weeks, we were really steaming up Jahan Dotson, but we just haven't really seen the production yet. Are we cooling the Jets a little bit going into week 3 now? I know I've got Jahan Dotson a little bit lower in my rankings. Oh, hey, Joe. Love this. Love you. Thanks for
We love you.
tuning in, man. But Jahan Dotson, are we cooling the Jets a little bit this week, Adam?
Yeah, we want to see it. I think there's still hope. It's still early in the season,
Yeah.
but you can't really start him with a whole lot of confidence based on the 2-game sample that we have.
I hate to say this, but we kind of hope that Sam Howell, being not a rookie quarterback, but his first year as a starter, we see those guys kind of laser focus on 1 or 2 guys. Sam Howell has been so much better than advertised that it's making the weapons a little bit less valuable because he just hits an open guy. He is spreading the ball all over the field, getting everybody involved. On top of that, we got Brian Robinson, just the engine that is churning this offense. So, Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, we thought it was going to be kind of hyper funneled through those two, and the ball's going all over the place. So kind of tough to see. Thank you, Logan. We love this show too. It's a lot of fun. Good way to start the day. Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, or
Rashad White. Rashad White.
I get it, but it's I just read whatever comes on camera.
You're Ron Burgundy.
I'm not going to make an Anchorman joke, but yeah, Breece Hall, Jason Warren, or Rashid White. Pick one. I'm going Breece Hall. I don't know who Jason Warren
Breece Hall's the only
White are.
real one. So. I don't like it, but I'm still going Rashad White.
I'm Dave Kluge.
Yes, you might be.
Craig Reynolds, Kenny Gainwell, or Kendre Miller.
Kendre.
I
Let's go
really
rapid
hope
fire.
this one doesn't blow up in our face because we are touting Kendre to everybody. 3 minutes left. Full point PPR, pick one. Jerome Ford, Josh Reynolds, Josh Downs, or Hunter Henry.
Sheesh. Reynolds rap.
Tyler Lockett, Jordan Addison, or Zay Flowers. Also, James Cook, Jalen Warren.
I think these
or
are
Breece
separate.
Hall.
Yeah.
Two separate questions. So pick 2 out of the receivers. I'm going Lockett and Flowers.
Yes.
And out of the running backs, I'm going James Cook and Breece Hall.
Same.
Wow, look at that. We are so in agreement today, Alfredo.
Yeah, I don't like it.
This is lovely.
I don't like it one bit.
I hate it. Now we're
I don't
both
like it
going
one
to be
bit.
wrong. Instead of us
Yep.
getting to beat each other up on Monday for I was right, you was wrong. Well, now we were both wrong together. Pick 2 flex players. Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams, Sky Moore, James Cook, or Mike Williams. I'm going Kyron and James Cook.
Same.
Stop agreeing with me, Alfredo. Come
I'm
on.
sorry,
Push back a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit. Push back. Garrett
I
Wilson,
hate
Michael
you.
Thomas, or Jerry Jeudy. You say it, Alfredo.
Michael Thomas.
Same. Gosh, what a boring show.
Ew,
Ugh.
And we're
guys,
giving people
get a
answers.
room.
This is what they want.
Yeah, this is gross.
Adam's just sitting
Alfredo.
there like, I hate this.
Yeah. Puka Nacua Monday night or Josh Kelly. You gotta start Puka. Puka
Pikachu, man. I choose you.
Pikachu, that's a new one. So we got Pikachu,
Yes.
we got Puka Nukem, we got Puka Nacua Cooper Cup. Got some good ones here. Dubs or Dotson. I always say Dubs. It's Dobbs. I know it's Dobbs. I just can't read it that way.
It's just not spelled that way. And it's so annoying.
Yeah, and it's not Josh Dobbs. It's Romeo Dobbs. I can't get this right at all.
So
I
don't
think I'm
start
going-
him. Let's go Dotson because you can't say the other one.
I got to look at my rankings here. I really don't
I've
know.
got-
I know we're in
I've
rapid
got
fire
Dotson
mode.
at wide receiver 33. Well over Dobbs, who is at wide receiver 46.
Yeah, I have Dotson as well. Just had to double check the process. Tyler Lockett, Jordan Addison, or Breece Hall. I'm going Lockett.
It's start 2, so I'm going to go Lockett and Addison.
Oh, perfect. I agree.
Yeah.
Who sits out? Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, or A.J. Brown? Wow.
You
I'd say
sit
Josh
Garrett
Kelly.
Wilson.
Says he's already starting Josh Kelly over all these guys. Oh, yes. I'm starting Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, no.
Gus or Kendre? We talked about this one
Gus
earlier.
Bus.
Gus is the safer play, but Kendre is the ceiling play. I got these guys 2 spots apart in my rankings. AJ Dillon, Jerome Ford, or Robert Woods? Need 2. AJ Dillon and Jerome Ford for me.
Yes.
Geno Smith or Russ Wilson, who is Russ Wilson very quietly the QB7 in scoring right now. Wow.
Gino.
Joshua Kelly or James Cook? Final question. We're going to wrap it up here.
I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to go. You know what? I do
going
feel
James
good about
Cook.
it. James Cook. Let's go.
All right. and we finish in agreement yet again. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. We will be back every single Sunday morning for the rest of the season doing this start, sit, injury report, all the fun stuff there. Be sure to get all of the inactive guys out of your lineup. Let me run through it one more time for you, just so you know. Odell Beckham, Justice Hill, Anthony Richardson, Jamal Williams, Zay Jones, Jalen Waddle, Austin Eckler, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Selvin Ahmed, and Cordero Patterson should be nowhere near your lineups early today. Bryce Young, Richie James, Boston Scott, Quez Watkins as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alfredo, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me at the Pretend GM anywhere you're on social media.
Adam, let them know where they can find you on social media and also where you can find the amazing Monday Injury Roundup article.
You can find me on Twitter at @therealadam_H. Make sure you get over to footballguys.com and subscribe. We got weekly articles coming out every Tuesday, breaking down injuries, and Saturday telling you what to expect before you watch the show on Sunday.
Yeah, and we started a minute late today, so we're giving you an extra minute at the end. You can find me on Twitter at Dave Kluge, but be sure to follow at Football Guys to see this show as well as the early morning show we have with Joey, Jagger, and Jeff. I really wish we had the alliteration on this show. I could just go by Avid. That way we've got Alfredo, Adam, and Avid every single morning. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Good luck.